Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if you're just landing here. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Uh, and if you're not familiar with me, I'm a tarot reader, but I'm also a former newspaper journalist, and I'm an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So I got a lot on my plate, and I try to mix it up and give you some good content here. Um, yeah, Tuesday morning. I'm taping this about 8:30 Tuesday morning. What an big day we have ahead of us, right? I'm going to look at the likelihood of what may or may not happen by Trump's deadline tonight regarding Iran. We saw that press conference yesterday. But on a lighter note, I wanted to start out today like, how about the Artemis 2 crew? Basically, they couldn't drop the mic because they were in space, but they just let that mic float around like they were not trying to talk to Trump, right? They said the phone call lasted about 12 minutes, but there was this minute or so long awkward silence where they just passed the mic around, and there were rumors that he was really deflated, that they didn't seem to be so too excited to talk to him. Trump, if they didn't seem to be too excited to talk to him. But that was what, and then, there was some excuses. Oh, there was a disconnection. They didn't hear you or whatever. I don't know about that at all, right? But there's a lot out there. If you didn't see the taping, you can just see the four of the four astronauts together, and they're just kind of like batting the mic around, like, I don't want it, you take it. Like a hot potato. Really, really interesting. All right, so now on to something a lot more serious. Oh, and I do want to mention, Spirit is reminding me, and some of you have reached out to me. There is that very, very important runoff election today happening in Georgia. Several state seats, but the one I think everybody nationally has their eye on is the replacement for Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat, right? Incredibly red district. She won, if I'm not mistaken, she won her election the last time by 30 points or something, like so, like not even a question. Sean Harris did very well in the initial primary. This is a runoff today. He did very well, but we also understand that was because the crowd of Republican candidates was so big that they were basically eating up each other's numbers and canceling out. So today we've got the runoff between Sean Harris, the Democrat, and what's his name, Clay Fuller, who Trump has come out and endorsed. I'm gonna go ahead and take a look at it. When that happened, I remember thinking this was going to be a really steep hill for Sean Harris to climb because of how it happened, that there were so many Republican candidates, and then when they narrowed that down to one, what would happen? Spirit, please show me the outcome of the runoff today. Will Sean Harris win? Will Sean Harris win in Georgia today? The results of the runoff election in Georgia for the House seat formerly held by Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've got the Four of Pentacles with Temperance. I'm not going to ignore it because it's a major arcana. That feels like a lot, on a positive note, that feels like a lot of Republicans crossing over. That Sean Harris, no matter what the final outcome is and the final tally, Sean Harris is going to have a very good showing. But the Four of Pentacles can be a pretty stuck energy. It feels almost like people being stuck in their ways, and just refusing against all odds to, or all reasons to vote otherwise. The two candidates are starkly different, and many people are saying this will hinge on the impact of the Iran war, that rising gas prices, all the things we know. And Sean Harris, both of these men are I want to say former army vets, right? They've got military backgrounds, but Sean Harris has said point blank period, we don't belong in Iran, very against the war. And Fuller, on the other hand, is all, fine with me. We got to keep America safe. Spirit, will Sean Harris pull it out? Will he win? We have the Two of Cups. I like it. The Four of Cups. Yeah, don't like that. Kind of disappointing. The Two of Cups representing a choice that feels good, and again, many voters. That Temperance card, many voters surprisingly coming out to vote for him. So I think his numbers are going to be surprising no matter what. Four of Cups though is a little disappointing, or again, people's inability to and the choices. Seven of Cups. The people simply not wanting to make the obvious choice. But we've got the Queen of Pentacles, and we've got the Two of Wands. I think that Queen of Pentacles is pointing to, even though she did not endorse anybody in the race, Marjorie Taylor Greene, she didn't endorse, but I think that's her. The Two of Wands focused forward, and the Eight of Pentacles, let's keep working. Let me ask it a different way. Spirit, will Clay Fuller win the election tonight? Will he take Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat? Will he win the election? Three of Pentacles and the Fool. And the Nine of Swords and the Ace of Swords. I hate to say it, you all. I think that Fuller might pull it off. I think that, but however, I think that Sean Harris's showing is going to be large enough. That's why we got that Nine of Swords. That even if he wins, Fuller is going to recognize he's not winning, certainly not with the kind of support that Marjorie Taylor Greene did, and that base, the MAGA base, the red base, has indeed shifted. So it's not going to be it's going to feel victorious, but it's still not going to be, it's not going to be pretty for him. Period. It's not going to be pretty, because at that point, then he also has to continue to answer to that constituency, and the answers that are going to come up with things going the way they are not going to be good. And I think that Queen of Pentacles was coming up because we're going to have Marjorie Taylor Greene still in the background going, I told you so, I told you so, I told you so, right? All right. So I want to move on to tonight. And that press conference yesterday with Frump and Dan Kane, Joint Chiefs of Staff, and Hegseth. Spirit, will we see an escalation tonight? Will there be a follow-through on the threat to heighten the bombing in Iran tonight? Will that happen? Show me the outcome of tonight into tomorrow. The Two of Cups, maybe a last minute agreement, or certainly still trying to avoid it. Pakistan is what I mean by that. The people who have been the negotiators still trying to avoid it, but there's the tower. Gosh darn it. And look, even in this image, the tower very often depicts an image of things coming down. And what's really despicable about that, but justice comes. So I'll tell you what I'm getting. I'm going to pull one more, but I'll tell you what I'm getting. They're talking about, of course, if this goes forward, it is being considered as war crimes, right? Going after the civilian infrastructure, and therefore also civilians. We're also hearing that Iran is having that civilians in Iran are ready to be like human shields to line up around some of their power plants and other major buildings and areas. So then if this goes forward, if that tower is what we're looking at, if it is what it is, then clearly the destruction of not only infrastructure but lives is what's at play. And I wonder if that justice card is saying, and there's the Magician. They're going, if they do this, you all, what I'm getting is Spirit is saying between the magician and justice, we're going to see huge efforts at propaganda, a lot of which happened yesterday in that press conference. You saw Heg's Breath, as many of you call him, the Heg's Breath got and did this whole sort of reenactment of Jesus's resurrection in relation to this downed pilot. Like he went, and on the first day this happened to him, and on the second day, and then on the third day he was rescued and flown off into the sunset. Like, did you act? I mean, it was, and prior to that, Trump said in his remarks that the entire thing was sort of, you couldn't have scripted it any better. It couldn't have been a better movie. They're going to spin it that this was something that was justified, was not only justified, that's putting it too mildly, was a greater calling, a greater mission. There's such a piece of this right now, you all, that's being tilted into this almost religious fanaticism is the term that Spirit is giving me, like real serious religious fanaticism. And the Five of Cups, the pain, the disappointment, the Empress, the people, representing the people, the Queen of Cups, the Four of Wands. Spirit, are you showing me is this the response by women, especially mothers, women, children, the idea that it means that people literally, their means of living has been taken away. The King of Cups and the Moon. This could be a variety of world leaders that will be expressing the Moon, expressing their dismay, expressing worry, heightened anxiety and worry around the country. I mean, certainly around here, around the country in the U.S., but around the globe. So is this heightened destruction? And will the military commanders obey these orders? If he issues those orders tonight to do this, to carry this out, as he said, will they do it? The Three of Swords, they sure don't want to. But again, this is why they removed Rachel Maddow last night. Many of you may have seen it, and if you didn't, there's clips on YouTube. Like, she did a whole laundry list of all the military personnel who have been let go since he took office, right? And Heg's Breath pulling all the stunts that he's pulled. So to that point, Spirit is saying the reliance on military commanders to disobey illegal orders, the personnel there in charge of doing that have been decimated. So we've got the Three of Swords and the Chariot, worried about being forced to go forward on this destructive mission. But will they? Will they obey commands? Two of Wands. Five of Pentacles. Some won't. And the Hangman. Some won't. I don't think this is a rebellion, but this is something that where they try and pause, where they try any last ditch efforts to say, let's continue to look forward to something else besides this worst case scenario. So the bottom line, you all, I think Trump's intentions, like he's in a space right now where it's gone. Like the reasoning, the desire to truly find, a peace deal, that's not on his plate right now. But so this is falling more into the lap of those who would be in charge of following through on the commands, right? This goes back and highlights those 6 senators who came, Mark Kelly and others who came out and said, don't do it a couple of months ago. They knew this was coming. Spirit, what will we hear tomorrow? That's how I want to approach it. What will we hear tomorrow? What will the news be tomorrow in regards to whatever takes place in around tonight? What will the news be? What will What will the American people be told? Ooh, that wants to come. The World, the Eight of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles. Thank you, Spirit. That wanted to come. And look, that's 3 cards that popped out all together. All right. That it was necessary. But the Ace of Pentacles, that something was successful. I'm almost getting in the World like a mission complete, right? But this ties also into what we've been told constantly. It's all handled. We've got to, we've done everything we're supposed to do. Everything's going according to plan. Their military is decimated, which clearly not the case. But there's a growth around it. I also am getting with the Ace of Pentacles coming with the World. What tomorrow there will be, if this goes through, if there's some, even if it's not as intense as he's threatening, all the power plants, all the bridges, even if it's not that intense, to the extent that it is anything as was represented in that tower, to the extent that one power plant gets hit or, a couple of bridges get taken down, there's a response around the world to collaborate and begin to figure out pushback. That's what I'm getting. Bottom line, pushback. And if that's military pushback, if that's more Middle Eastern nations beginning to partner with Europe to push back. Spirit, what will be Trump's headspace tomorrow? That'll be an indication as well. What will be Trump's headspace tomorrow? The Two of Pentacles, the Three of Wands. He's on a high horse. Decision made, results, but not the results that he wanted. I'm actually really glad to see this. The Four of Cups, some form of disappointment. So he's gonna Three of Wands, this and that and the other got done. It's always a success. It's always the biggest and best mission there ever was. But there's something holding it back, and there's a Five of Cups to confirm a level of disappointment. So bottom line, you all, what I'm getting from Spirit is this is not utter destruction that we've been hearing is the potential, right? This is not nukes. I want to confirm that. Let me go ahead. Spirit. Will there be the use of nuclear? The Hierophant, the King of Cups, and the Page of Pentacles. Not yet, but it's always that threat. The Hierophant, the government, Trump acting as if, I have the codes, I can do what I want, I'm in charge. But the King of Cups is somebody in that mix that's helping to prevent that. It's not Vance, who in the midst of all of this is over trying to help Orban stay in office, over in he and Usha over in Hungary. For what? When all of this is going on. But I also get the sense that, and the Five of Wands, a conflict. Whoever this King of Cups is, they're able to put up enough of a fight to prevent the nuclear aspect of this for now. All right. Last thing I want to look at real quick, you all, is there's something going on with this story around the recapture, the thing that Head's Breath went on about the rapture, essentially, or the resurrection of the second downed pilot. Now, we're understanding that from the Iranian perspective, we're hearing that what really happened is there was a downed jet that was trying to go after some uranium, and now I don't know what happened to the pilots. But the way they're selling it, this tremendous, well-executed mission against all odds, in the heat of the moment, under fire, that the military, U.S. military, was so incredibly successful in being able to go and basically, get him like out of a grain of sand, find him, locate him, and extract him successfully. There's something there. Um, Spirit, is that basically religious propaganda? Is that the truth? Were we told the truth around that? The Queen of Cups, the Page of Wands, the Ten of Swords. I don't think so. And I think this Queen of Cups and Page of Wands are people around Trump and of course Hegsbreath, who's fighting for his job, like they all are right now in the cabinet. This is people who were saying we gotta have a win right now. Everything's looking so bleak. People are getting really angry with us. We know this is going to cost, all the predictions around the midterms. So we got to come up with a feel good story. And I often get the Queen of Cups around Susie Wiles. This could have been her. Page of Wands is somebody else that was involved in that, or her saying you need some renewed energy to get people to support what you're doing or to feel good about our military and our military capabilities. But the Ten of Swords, I don't think. Knight of Wands, climbing up a mountain, no less. That's an interesting image. Were they being straight with us? And the Two of Swords. There was some sort of deception there, you all. And the Seven of Swords, boom. Thank you for the confirmation, Spirit. If you read tarot, you know that's trickery and deceit in the Seven of Swords. With the Two of Swords, that blindfold, that's how they want the American public. We know that there's this shutdown on news. We know that Trump also threatened the journalist. I forget what had broken or leaked, but said if you don't tell us, you'll go to jail. You don't tell us who your sources are, because so much of what is happening from even reputable news sources we know is, because if people are granted anonymity, that's the only way they can get people to talk. And so now they're going after the journalists to say, if you don't give up your sources, then we'll prosecute you. It is beyond, beyond, beyond. All right, you all. That's what I have for today. I will definitely check back with you all tomorrow. Fingers crossed in Georgia, one way or another, but expect the best and prepare for the other case scenario. I am, however, really glad that at least according to what I could get from Spirit, whatever happens tonight or tomorrow and the day after that in Iran is not at the level of what he's claiming. Your whole civilization is going to be wiped out, blah blah blah. That's not what's happening. All right, y'all. Chin up, shoulders back, right? Because the sky's above us, the earth is beneath us, holding us down, and certainly soul within. All right? Heart within, soul within. Keep breathing. And I'll talk to you a little bit later.